Hey, it's Dr. Jaban. Today I'm talking about Lyme, but I'm talking about the not so basic stuff, right? So the first thing is Lyme is a bacteria. That's basic information, but bacteria can create a biofilm. That biofilm can wrap around the bacteria, creating no chance for antibiotics or other treatments to get through that film to actually get to treat the bacteria. So that makes it more difficult to treat. Along with that, and in a very similar function, it can create a cyst. So that cyst can be anywhere in your body. There's been cysts seen all throughout tissue that all can make it more difficult for your body to be able to get through this infection. Now, by creating these biofilms and cysts, it actually leads to a state where you feel better if that was your only infection. And your symptoms are going away, you've been going through treatment, and then 6 months after treatment, the bacteria will actually tear down the biofilm or come out of the cyst and start to reinfect you and regrow. And that's why so many people continue to get sick over and over again and feel better for a minute and then get sick and feel better for a minute and then get sick. But you can't stay on antibiotics for a lifetime. It's actually really, really bad for you. It creates all kinds of side effects like C. diff and malnutrition, gut dysbiosis, and so on. So what do you have to do about biofilms and cysts? So what you have to do is you actually need to do pulse type treatments where you treat and then you pull back and you treat and you pull back. That's what seemed to be most effective out in the community of docs that are working with this. Now, another piece of the puzzle is there are things that break down biofilms and cysts, but you've got to be very careful with those because you may be breaking down other tissue because, again, fats or cysts and biofilms are actually fat and mucus. So if you use some of these biofilm breakers, you've just got to make sure that they work well with you and don't cause too much destruction or die off on your own body. Next, bacteria can live inside parasites. So if you have parasites in your digestive tract, the Lyme bacteria has actually been shown to live inside of it. So if you're not treating for those parasites and getting them out, the Lyme can come out of those parasites and start to reinfect your body just like it was coming out of the cysts. And Lyme may not be your biggest problem. Remember, Lyme has all these co-infections. So I've got many patients who we test and see that they have Lyme. Their symptoms go away long before we actually get to the work for Lyme. So before they do any sort of treatment whatsoever for that, whether that be through me or through their other doctors, if you optimize mitochondria and liver, you can see tremendous symptom relief and even the body going ahead and taking care of things by just optimizing it before you even have to get to Lyme. So Lyme may not be your biggest issue, so look for all of the co-infections, all of the toxins before you start into your protocols just to make sure you have as much information as you can. And like I said, you may not have to actually go after each infection on your own. So killing everything to zero, so annihilating is the word that some patients like to use, isn't necessarily the truth. Annihilation of every organism that bothers you would lead to us having no strep, staph, E. coli, or any other type of bacteria in our body, which we have thousands of. There's 40,000 different kind of bacteria in your gut. There's as many microbial cells as there is human cells that are in your body. So you need to think less away from annihilation and more about decreasing that threshold of toxicity and infection in your body, leading to your body being able to tolerate and manage all of these different bacteria. Just like if you're a manager at your job, you have to be able to manage the number of people. Or if you're a teacher, you have to be able to manage the number of kids in your classroom. And if they're all being managed properly, they can be an effective workforce. Whereas if they're not, things can get out of control. So, not that I want to say that Lyme's necessarily good for you, but it's not about annihilation. It's about getting back to a balanced or homeostasis in your own body. As far as treatment, one of the difficult things for Lyme to treat is once you get past the biofilms and the cysts and all of that, it's still a spirochete. So it still burrows out into your joints and eats them up. It gets after everything. So when you treat, most things are either just gut oriented or bloodborne, so they're not going to get through your joints nearly as well. Also, Lyme gets in the brain. There's a barrier around your brain that stops anything from getting to your brain, but those bacteria somehow can make it up by burrowing through, but the treatment may not. So if you think about things that get in your brain and doing treatments, meningitis for one, It's a major deal because you have to be able to get to the brain with the treatment. So with Lyme, it can be a long process using multiple different remedies to be able to get Lyme symptoms to be taken care of in the brain. So just remember, it's detailed and long-term. And the last piece that's not so basic about Lyme is testing. Testing is extremely difficult. The standard that you diagnose Lyme by is actually symptoms and assessments. Testing is so poor that even the CDC came out, and I believe it was 2015, saying that only 25,000 people tested positive, but they thought that more than 300,000 up to as many as 1 million people were infected. So testing is extremely poor. Right now, the test that the CDC uses, they even know based off of that report that it's not the best. Other labs that come out with information that is useful, IGeneX, DNA Connections, and Vibrant Labs seem to have some testing that is more accurate to give you a positive test. But a negative test in Lyme doesn't mean that you don't have it. It simply means that it's not currently something that lab can get. So if it's false, it could be a false negative. If it's positive, then get after figuring out what you need to do to get well. So that's Lyme, not so basic. If you've got somebody out there struggling with Lyme, invite them to our page. Make sure that they get this information so that we can share how to heal, how to get well, and that there is hope in healing. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great lunch today.